Jack Roslovic is a Leaf! The Toronto Maple Leafs have made their first signing of the day. They've already made a trade. They traded Nick Robertson to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 4th-round pick. I already made a video about that on this channel. You should check it out. We also did one on the SCPN channel. You should check it out. But they made their first free agent signing, and it is an important one. A 2-year deal for Jack Roslovic at $4 million per season. Now, this isn't your dad's $4 million. This is 2026 $4 million. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of surprised Roslovic wasn't able to sign for a little bit more than this. I know, like, you might interpret that as Steve is overrating this player. No, have you seen some of the dollar amounts that have been getting thrown out for these guys? Outside of LA and the, I think, tidy work they did, signing like really old guys, this is a guy kind of tail end of prime. He's a right-handed center, which comes at a premium, and he's gotten over 20 goals in each of his last 2 seasons. I would expect this guy to be able to sign for more per season and for more term, but he's coming here. Hey, you want to get real conspiracy theory about this? Who's another guy who only has 2 years left on his contract? Why, Austin Matthews, Steve, say some of you, and I say, you're correct, some of you. But you're not thinking big enough. No, someone else who's got 2 years left on his deal, played, looks like hundreds of games as teammates with this player. Zach Werenski. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm allowing myself to dream the silliest and softest of dreams. But Jack Roslovic, who is actually from Columbus, here's what we're looking at. He's got 3 20-goal seasons under his belt, 22 goals with the Carolina Hurricanes and 39 points in 81 games, although I do remember I don't think he played every game on that Stanley Cup playoff run. He did find himself as a healthy scratch at times. Last season with the Edmonton Oilers, he only got into 69 games. I believe he signed late. 21 goals, 15 assists, 36 points, which is actually scoring at a higher rate than he did in Carolina. Now, here's the thing. Of course he did. Of course he scored at a higher rate in Edmonton than he did in Carolina, and that's obviously not a shot at Carolina on account of they went to the 3rd round when he was with them, and they won the Stanley Cup this year. But the Oilers' identity is we score goals. We are better at doing that than you, which is very helpful in goal-scoring contests. Here's what we're still trying to figure out is this guy going to be a center for the Leafs, or is he going to be a winger for the Leafs? Because he's played a bunch of right wing, he's played a bunch of center. He was 6th on the Edmonton Oilers in total faceoffs taken last season with 268. Now, remember, he only got into 69 games, but he played fewer games than Curtis Lazar, who took more faceoffs than him with the Edmonton Oilers. And the guys ahead of him are Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Adam Henry, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. He played on the Oilers' power play for a little bit, and he was able to put up some points. And if I'm not mistaken, Roslovic and Matthews, I think, spend some of their offseason together. So here's the funny thing. We love a rerun. We wondered if Brad Treliving was ever going to trade Nick Robertson. He didn't. John Chaika comes in and finally does. Jack Roslovic seemed like a guy the Leafs were going to sign, and it seemed like Brad Treliving was thinking about it. And then he didn't do it, and now here we are a year later, and John Chaika does it. This is a guy that they need. They had a right-handed center in Nick Waugh. Well, they traded that guy, and now they no longer have him. I'm not saying that Nick Waugh and Jack Roslovic are similar players. They are not at all. Nick Waugh is a mid-sized Jeep. He is huge, gritty, can kill penalties for you. Jack Roslovic is not going to touch the penalty kill, but he is a face-off option, and he is right-handed, which is something they badly need. This forward group has, here's the list of right-handed shots they have heading into today. William Nylander. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that list, because that's the entire list, unless you're penciling in like Ryan Twerberg into their opening night roster, which maybe you should. That's a Calder Cup champion. Listen, there were a lot of fears when Jim Hiller got hired that this is going to be a 1-3-1 defensive-minded, boring team, and it's just going to be a different version of the misery that we had to endure with the Craig Berube Leafs, which even when they won the division were not an entertaining viewing appointment. And then last year when they weren't winning, it was 2.5 hours that were inflicted upon the audience. It was inflicted upon the fan base. It was miserable, awful, horrible. Now, at very least, with the moves that they're making, the puck movers they're getting back there, the shooters they're getting back there on the decor, they've badly needed to add to this forward group. And they're talking about moving Nyes. They've already moved off of Robertson. This is them going, okay, we're putting some pieces here. What's it going to look like? They needed a forward. They got a forward. They needed a forward who does the things that Jack Roslovic does. They got exactly Jack Roslovic. Here's where I'm confused, and what I'm sure Adam and Jesse are going to talk about on the STPN YouTube channel in these very seats in just a few minutes. Does Roslovic take some of the center playing burden off of John Tavares? Because one of the things that we've talked about is playing John Tavares potentially as either a winger, which I don't know if I love. I think he's a very good center, but at his age, making him do full-time second-line center duties, I don't know if that's the right thing. Is this the sort of thing where at 5-on-5, Roslovic and Tavares kind of split minutes in the middle six, Matthews goes and does his thing, and then the fourth line gets a big defensive burden? Another thing to consider, Austin Matthews had way too high of a defensive burden last year for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Way too many of his shift starts were in the defensive zone. He kills penalties. John Tavares doesn't kill penalties. Jack Roslovic doesn't kill penalties. Okay, so who are you getting back there? Who is going to take on that role if Roslovic is then a full-time center for you? And the answer that I'm arriving at is I don't think he's a full-time center for you. Maybe he's the William Nylander type where he's a full-time right winger who can, in a pinch, take a face-off. Because William Nylander does take an inordinate amount of face-offs for a guy who is a full-time winger. Zach Hyman kind of falls into that category as well, if I'm not mistaken. But Jack Roslovic, 2 years, $4 million. I like what he brings. Don't hate the term. Don't hate the dollar amount. And yes, I am absolutely putting on my blue and white tinfoil hat and thinking about Roslovic's connection to Zach Werenski. I'm making it all happen, baby. If we can talk about how Stolars and Lorentz are friends with Sergei Bobrovsky, we can talk about how Jack Roslovic used to play with Zach Werenski. Okay? Okay? But that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends that before this video you didn't know Jack, but now you do.